Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
You are listening to an Infowars.com frontline report. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
It is Wednesday, the 21st day of March, 2012, and we're going to be live here for the next 3 hours. Yesterday, I had John Rappaport of NoMoreFakeNews.com sit in. He did a superb job, along with Mike Adams, who wrote Shotgun. The third hour, I want to thank them and thank our great crew and you, the listeners, sponsors, and those that pray for us and who make it all possible. But John Rappaport did a great job. I wasn't taking off yesterday. I did an 8-hour shoot with Discovery Channel. I then did 2 hours of Coast to Coast AM. I did Russia Today and one more interview in the morning. And during all of this, people were asking me at the office, what do you think of the French shooting? And I said, I think it's terrible, obviously, but I hope and pray that it's just a deranged lunatic, because someday I'm dreaming of actually finding a real terrorist who isn't a mentally ill person that the globalists have set up or a pure patsy. But I said, I'm going to hold my tongue on this. But I said, it's probably going to come out just like the guy that shot up the Jewish Center out in California a decade or so ago, who it turned out lived at a military base, that the feds were following him, financing him. They find incredibly mentally ill people and then protect them. And I said, if it turns out the government's been watching him for years and that he's been in Guantanamo Bay or he's been at a Afghan base, it's on record that they profile and engage in mind control. This is on record at these bases in Afghanistan and Cuba. And they find people that are either stark raving crazy and give them money and financing to do it, or they find people that are good leaders and put them in charge of the Libya invasion or the Syria invasion. We just saw al-Qaeda a few days ago blow up military and police intelligence stations in Syria. And al-Qaeda openly works for NATO, the same groups that attacked Gaddafi. I'm not saying Assad's good. I'm not saying Gaddafi's good. But they're nothing compared to al-Qaeda. And so al-Qaeda does work for the bankers, for the globalists. It's kind of a skeleton key or Leatherman tool that can do any and every job that people want done. You want to scare the American people? Al-Qaeda. You want to get some anti-terrorism legislation passed, get some no-bid contracts? Al-Qaeda. You want to invade a country? Al-Qaeda. You want to do any of this? Al-Qaeda. And now an image is emerging. In fact, Kurt Nimmo is writing on this right now, but I've put the Drudge Report up. If Prisonplanet.tv people are watching, just look at these headlines. Flash, U.S. sent French shooting suspect back to France from Afghanistan developing. That's just a red link. Well, I was driving in late this morning and got here at about 10:30, and BBC was reporting what Drudge is saying is developing. So BBC reporters talking to French authorities are saying that he had been in an Afghan prison. Now, let's scroll down. There is a London Telegraph headline, Toulouse siege live, and they go on in this report. It's a long report, just a minor footnote that he'd been in an Afghan prison and broken out. Now, we covered this in great detail in my film Road to Tyranny that came out 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, February. So more than 10 years ago. And in that, we show the Times of London, Associated Press, all hidden in plain view, where 8,000 Taliban and al-Qaeda leaders, including heads of al-Qaeda, heads of Taliban, would be arrested by the military, would be apprehended and ordered released. And they would pay them in chests of gold bars. The CIA and MI6 and Pakistani intelligence as well was involved, and put them on C-130s and fly them over and land them in Pakistan. I mean, again, So it's but they would say broke out of prison. So this guy broke out of prison to go do this. Yeah, right. We'll break it down. Thank you for joining us for this worldwide transmission against tyranny. I come to you from deep in the heart of Texas, Austin. We have an incredibly important jam-packed transmission lined up for you today. Dr. Russell Blaylock, brain surgeon, scientist, researcher, is going to be joining us to talk about government-run healthcare, the epidemic of Alzheimer's and other neurological disorders, and more. And then Dr. Jerome Corsi is going to be coming on with bombshell new evidence with eyewitnesses that knew Barack Hussein Obama as Barry Soetoro in Illinois, who were told that Obama was a foreign exchange student. And we know others from his Occidental days have said that. And they fight under national security to stop the release of that information. Undoubtedly, we don't know who this man is. He's a complete cutout, beyond blackmailed by foreign interest. We don't even know who he is. He is a Manchurian candidate. And that's why you see the Congress being told that the United Nations now commands U.S. military forces publicly. That's why you see the director of the CIA saying, yes, all appliances are having bugging devices engineered into them. We're watching you without warrants. You have no Fourth Amendment. He actually said that. I've read the quotes. It's on record, hundreds of newspapers. He said at a big tech conference put on by the CIA, privacy isn't what it was in the past. We are going to spy on you without warrants, and we're watching you. They want you to know. Well, we're watching you too, buddy boy. And the big foreign mega banks looting this country and Europe and everybody else. We're watching. So this little attempted exercise in hiding everything in plain view is not going to convert the way you think it is. So Dr. Corsi joining us, Dr. Russell Blaylock. My heart, my prayers go out to the little children gunned down by someone in France. Just as my heart and soul and prayers goes out to everyone who's killed in war who is a innocent. When I see the Pentagon come out and say, yeah, we think it's acceptable to kill 145 or 203, and those are actual numbers from actual cases, of people at a wedding or in an apartment building, or at a family event, to kill one bad guy that we say is bad and a terrorist, we're going to kill 100-plus people. That is the same thing as some deranged individual walking up to children. I don't care whether they're Jewish, whether they're Chinese, whether they're Arabic, whether they're Hispanic. I don't care. If it's, a little Dutch girl with blonde curls, all children are precious. And my basic instinct is to become outraged by it. But I can't turn it off. I can't, oh my gosh, it's some Jewish children and French paratroopers got cowardly gunned down in cold blood. Oh my gosh, the world stands still. And then not get upset over the hypocrisy that when other people get killed, little Branch Davidian children, no matter what their parents might have done, they were innocent and murdered by Delta Force and the FBI, on record. General Parton, of course, exposed the forensics of it, the church records vault inside the Davidian compound. They went in, put a shape charge on it, killed everybody inside, blasted them into soup. Those that were not inside the church records vault, who were told to come out, ran out and were shot on the FLIR footage. You see them run out, infantry behind the Bradleys firing into them, Christmas tree flashes from the FLIR, from the FBI aircraft above. And that's put on the news, and the FBI says that's not what it looks like. Every other FLIR footage, you see bodies, you see gunshots, you see people hitting the ground, you see the tanks running over them to get rid of the evidence, pushing them with bulldozer scoops later into the flames to burn the bodies up. And then the military from Fort Hood posed with skulls of dead people. I mean, it's one thing to kill American citizens because you want to show them who's boss and to blow up little newborn babies and people and toddlers. But it's even worse to cowardly pose with their skulls later. And when I saw that, a light bulb went off in my mind and adrenaline went into my heart. And I said, we got a major problem. And it backfired on the feds. They wanted to get more funding, launch their war against the right wing in America. It failed. So the feds 2 years later bombed Oklahoma City to wave the red shirt and blow up a daycare center so they could demonize the liberty movement. And it worked very well. It's not going to work the next time you do it. So don't do it. And don't think about it. Keep doing your little sneaky false flags like Fast and Furious shipping 10,000 plus guns into Mexico. And, you know, it's terrible. It killed at least 3 Border Patrol and 3 police officers. Over 200 people on this side. Well over 2,500 last number I saw. Our own government admits guns traced back in Mexico. So we're talking about 2,000 plus people dead just from those guns. And that's what's been traced and confirmed. That's a big false flag. That killed more than Oklahoma City. In fact, it's approaching what died on 9/11. In fact, the way Fast and Furious is going, if they keep tracing these guns, in another year or so, it's going to be 3,000. Oh, but you got caught on that false flag, didn't you? Holder. And you're going to go on getting caught because now we know. We know what to look for, buddy boy. And a lot of us are willing to risk our lives, our names, our treasure to expose you. A lot of us just can't give in to the fear and are committed. You don't know what to do about that, do you? You don't know how to handle that. Because a man in the wrong can't stand up against a man on the right if the man on the right keeps on a-coming. That's what it's all about. When good people stand up, nobody can beat them. And that's what I want to be an example of. Taking action, getting on the field, fighting tyranny. Ron Paul has been cheated. Pure election fraud. Caught him in Maine, caught him in Iowa, and I warned people. I said, after they steal him up front, then the self-fulfilling prophecy will be, well, he can't win, and people will start going over to Mitt Romney and others, and that's happened. And there's all these ideas about the delegates and what's going to happen there, and that might allow them to get some good stuff on the platform, but the Republican leadership will ignore that at the convention. But undoubtedly, don't let them snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Ron Paul running was a big win, just like it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, maybe in polls, 30% or so knew what the Federal Reserve was. 10 years ago, maybe 5%. I've seen polls of over 90%. I know you've seen them as well, knowing it's private and wanting to audit it or abolish it. This is a drive. This is not a Hail Mary where we're going to throw, 40-yard passes into the end zone every time and win. It's a drive. That's what political fights are. It's a long-term battle. We're winning the war for the Second Amendment. They're pulling out all the stops. Lord knows what dirty tricks the globalists are going to pull. But right now, we're winning. All over the world, they're starting to reverse victim disarmament because people get it. They know more